Hey, everybody. Welcome to Influence. I am your host, Brian Drake. Make no mistake. Today's episode, we had Jilsar Vergara. Jilsar is a YouTuber with more than 1.5 million views across his videos and a subscriber base that tops more than 10,000 people. Jilsar shared with me the three most important things that he's confident YouTubers should be focusing on if they're looking to grow their channel. So if this is you, you're in for a real treat. Enjoy the show. Okay, so once again, Gilsar, welcome to Influence, sir.
How you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. I let the audience know a little bit of your background, but is there anything else aside from your YouTube channel? Are there
hmm
any other social media platforms that you're focused on that you're looking to grow?
Uh, I'm pretty old, so I'll try to stick to what I know. So I'm on YouTube the majority of the time, but I've been dabbling with like Facebook, Facebook pages, and then trying to build my my audience there. But generally, the epicenter is YouTube for me.
Okay, excellent. Well, what we're here to really dive into, being that you've successfully grown such a great YouTube channel. I mean, 1.5 million views and 10,000 subscribers. I'm sure there's a lot to unpack there as far as really what it took to get there. So,
Mhm.
what I'd love to do is take a step back in time to the beginning of your journey. I want to go
Okay,
back to the Gilsar that just started his journey as a YouTuber,
all right.
and what the reason why you started that in the first place.
Well, actually, the first video I've ever recorded, just like any YouTuber or any content creator, it's not the best. Quality wise, audio wise, is never the best. But my wife encouraged me because the 10 days after giving my kidney to my sister, I gave my kidney to my sister. I used to competitively fight a while back in Muay Thai. And then I had quit that, started doing a regular 9 to 5 corporate job. Then it came up that my sister needed a kidney. She was in like dialysis for about a year and a half. And it just so happened that I didn't really like the way she was looking. It was headed towards a bad direction. So I decided to give my kidney, donate my kidney to my sister. And then as I was recovering, my wife was like, uh, she probably was tired of hearing me. So listen, I talk a lot. So she was like, why don't you just make a YouTube video and then just talk about your life because you have somewhat of an interesting life. So I said, fine, whatever. And then eventually it was just the first video was just about my kidney operation, about donating a kidney, the recovery process of that. And then I around that time I was moving back to the Philippines to do our business over there because we have businesses over there. And literally I got not a surge, but I got looks from regular people about what businesses do you do, because in the space of people going to the Philippines, it's usually a heavily populated expat space with like for a better term, just regular white guys going to the Philippines and doing vlogging and stuff like that, talking about the Philippines. Never have they seen a full-on Filipino American do those things. So I guess to some people it was like it was exotic. I guess I don't know it was exotic. So eventually I started exposing more about our businesses in the Philippines that my wife and I've been running for around that time. It was like 10 years already. We're going to like 20 years for some of our business now, like 18 years now. And literally that opened up a lot of conversation as to what businesses do I do, how do I conduct business, and things like that. And for the first, I want to say, year or two of the channel, it was just me helping expats navigate through the Philippines, as far as expats more focused on running business in the Philippines and how they can navigate through the red tape that you do unfortunately find in the Philippines. And then from there, it was just the fine tuning part.
So, what would you say was, as you were doing these videos, what did you find in the beginning? Like what was working and what was not working? Was anything that was really just kind of jumping out at you that seemed pretty clear?
I think it's the thirst for knowledge when someone searches on Google or YouTube. I realized that the simple things, as in even like saying common words in my dialect to navigate yourself through the free market, the open market, things like that. I would never think like sometimes as a content creator, when you kind of take it a bit more seriously, you're so focused on thinking of ideas that you think that people might like, and then you get disappointed when you're like, oh no, there's nobody's watching these videos. But then you come up with some obscure video which is like, this is how you say thank you in the dialect, and then it does great views. I'm like, what's happening here? Because if you're someone who kind of takes it seriously, because YouTube, social media in general, has started to become a small business now. It never for it's the most like lowest barrier of entry business that you can get into, as far as what you want to do going forward and creating an asset for yourself. So when I started really looking at it as more of a business thing, I started realizing that, I started focusing more on my customer per se, the viewers, and I was realizing that these little things these little bits of knowledge that people want is what they pretty much want, opposed to, like, let's say for instance, it was like it could have been like some stupid video about me running around and just driving around and vlogging per se, because like vlogging, just driving around and talking about nonsense. And because in the beginning I was really just like testing things out. I was, at that point in time, Casey Neistat was a big thing for me. So, trying to replicate that situation and putting my own flavor to it. But then I realized, what, like, this is not what the people want, because I can see it through the views. I can see it through my analytics and stuff. So I was like, let me see what's consistently top 10ing on my analytics. And then eventually I found out the little stuff, the more knowledge based, like, this is what you do when you go first into this town. These are things you need to know. These are all these little tidbits of information that people want. And I kept it under 10 minutes. And because if it became too long, it sounded redundant, I guess, after a while. So I try to keep it as concise as possible.
So when you said you were thinking about your audience, you found that when your audience was specifically searching for the first thing they should do in this, I believe you said village.
Yeah,
The
or like
first
village, or yeah.
Okay, so it's like the first thing, and then you were there to basically say, okay, well, this is what you want.
Right.
These are the videos I'm going to post to capture those specifically that want to learn more about that.
Pretty much, yeah. And then I realized that, as that journey unfolded for me, I was in the Philippines, so I can better illustrate things to do and how to take care of things. And and people, I try my best to try to keep my personal life and my business life out. I try to separate those things, because everybody needs a personal life. So I slowly try to integrate a portion of what my business life was around the channel. And and off camera, I get a lot of emails, so I can just actually speak to people more about the processes of being in that particular country, or processes of conducting business, things like that. But in the beginning, it was just literally how an American could navigate, back home and things like that. But yeah, but then eventually, me being eclectic and eccentric a little bit, I just got kind of it became boring for me, because there's only so much content you can make. And I'm not the type to consistently copy other people's content, even though to a great degree we always kind of reiterate things that you always watch. But I try my best not to be the regular Joe Schmo so I started doing, like, reviews for, like, health and wealth reviews, things that you can do better in the Philippines to take care of yourself health wise. I integrated, like, the teas that I drink, products that I use for business that help me in business, and how I took care of how I maintained certain businesses, like my dog breeding business and things like that. So, in essence, I try my best to monetize portions of my life that I knew that will drive me towards some type of consistency. And it kind of like I always strive for, like, evergreen content, because at the end of the day, I want these videos to live on after me. And if somebody watches it 10 years later, it'll still be like, oh, okay, that's applicable for today's time.
So I'm curious, when you were going through the process and just posting these like vlog type videos, and then you decided to start posting review videos to kind of
Mhm.
bring awareness to some health and wellness options to the Philippines area, what was going around at that time that you're like, you know what, I should really start focusing on doing this?
Because honestly, the affiliate marketing money was starting to come in, and I was like, whoa, this is starting to really look like something that I can actually scale, and actually, wow, like this is because what happened is back then, before the 1,000, or was that the 1,000 subscribers and 4,000 hours of watch time, I came into it when it was just like 1,000 subscribers and you can monetize. So I came in at a time where it was a good time to, like once I got cleared for monetization, I realized that the videos of just me walking and talking around weren't performing as well as the videos of me reviewing things amongst my life. Like I was doing reviews on like motorcycle boots and motorcycle gear I was using in the Philippines. And I started realizing, man, this thing is tracking a lot of views and it's coming in with little money. So, and the crazy thing was, I had an issue in the Philippines of lining up my bank account. So I didn't see the first check until I came back to America. And I was like, wow, like this is like for me around that time, it's like wow, $500. This is like astonishing. Like you're telling me, like if I just talk about this stuff, I get a little money. So someone who's like me, like, you know what? Let me see if I can refine it and get to that, get some traction as far as, I can still do the vlogs and stuff like that, because like a lot of people who actually take, content creation seriously, you have two options. Like, I don't want to get too heavy into like the CPM and all that stuff, but you have people that are, like the Jake Pauls and all those big guys. Everything's based on volume. I mean, outside of like ads and sponsors and all that mess, just looking at YouTube, they make massive amounts of numbers because they have massive amounts of volume. But someone who's like someone who's like small like me, like micro or nano influencer like that, you can still track for good money based on what you speak about, because it all depends on who's putting ads in front of your video. So I was like, you know what? Let me start doing reviews on health, because health is a very big thing, business. And I started realizing that over time, these small little videos, even as small channel like mine, they were still making me good income. I was like, you know what? Let me just follow through and just constantly refine this process.
Man, that was excellent. Thank you so much for sharing. Here's my next question to you.
Mm-hmm.
I'd like to go around to the moment that a video really took off, or that you saw a video really start to jump up in views. And I'd like to ask you about what that video was and why did you think that it performed or started performing so well?
Oh, I can tell you right now, like what took me from like 200 subscribers to like 1,500 subscribers in a week. I think a week, or it was like a week or maybe 2 weeks, cracking 2 weeks.
Okay, so how did you jump from 100 to 2,000 in a week?
2 weeks. It was a contentious video about a foreigner, a white guy who was living in the Philippines, who had a very bad mindset. He was talking about trash, especially he was in my hometown. So I made a video going point for point as to why he's wrong. But because a local Filipino is very hard to fight that, because, one, with the accent, the point of view that, I'm straddling America and the Philippines. My foot is in both countries. I'm a dual citizen. So I spoke about it. It was a topic of contention about the livelihood and how you conduct yourself back home. I think that video was literally, when I released the video, I think I had like maybe like 6 or 7 or 100 more comments, like within the first like couple of days, because defending what I was saying against the gentleman. So that put more eyes on the channel. And then they started realizing, like, oh crap, this young guy he knows what he's talking about. And then it put more channels on what I do for business. Although I wouldn't want the channel I wouldn't want anyone's channel to boom based on a controversy, because that can go left or right. It can go left or right. But for what the guy was a bit deranged. He was a bit off on the side. But so it kind of favored my end. But at the end of the day, it took my channel and propelled the channel to the point where people actually saw eyes on it, because it was being shared amongst that demographic, that environment. So it blew it up for more people to even ask me more, like, hey, you're a young guy. Why are you going to the Philippines so young? How well are your businesses doing to the point where you can go home? And that's when it kind of took off.
So you had a video that caused people to be somewhat opinionated on what you were
Yeah.
talking about, and it
Hmm.
really started to get you attention, and then it kind of started to lead into ultimately helping your business and what you were doing as an entrepreneur.
Yeah. Yeah, naturally, because I was like
That's cool.
30, young 30s at that time, and people are like, and I'm openly saying I'm gonna go home to the Philippines and maintain my businesses. And then when I go home to the Philippines, they're seeing me with commercial buildings, walking around in my commercial buildings. So they were like, what is up with this? And I don't flex like that. I don't see one thing about me. I have a subtle, I guess, a subtle flexing. I'll walk around my assets, but I won't say that. Oh, this is my assets. I'm just doing. I'm like, oh, you know how like they do like they try to get you in like the the MLM type schemes, and yeah, guys, it's got I guess Lamborghini in the garage. I'm not that way, so I'm like, so the older people like in the 60s, because I'm looking at the demographic of who's watching my channel, that like the 60s and the 50-year-olds are like males. I'm like, they're asking me like, bro, how are you doing this? How are you doing that? Because I kind of want to retire, but like you, I'm entrepreneurial. Like, how are you doing it? I was like, oh no, it's a family business. We a portion of my family has had businesses for a very long time, and my wife and I have our own businesses. That's how I'm moving my money around. And but that topic, that controversial video opened up their eyes to like, who's this young man talking? And it did benefit me because like I stood up for for Filipinos who couldn't speak against this particular person, but it also opened up the channel inadvertently. I didn't expect it. I just spoke my piece and recorded a video, and it put eyes on me as like, let me dig more into your into what you do, because you seem like you're doing something correct in life, and I've messed up a lot in life. So I was like, so for someone to tell me like, hey, you're a young guy, you're doing very well, what's up, what are you doing? That was kind of like, wow, like that's that would have never happened to me in the middle of the street. I'm somewhat of an introvert. I don't really talk to a lot of people, but through YouTube, it kind of opened me up, and inevitably opened me up to the possibility of treating YouTube as a business as well. Because I never took it seriously beyond that point. I mean, before that, I was like, whatever. If it does well, it does well. If it doesn't, it does what it is. I'm just spending time until I get better. My surgery gets better, and we'll treat it that way.
Right on, man. Right on. If I was to ask you, what sort of sacrifice do you think somebody needs to make in order to grow a YouTube channel? What were some of the sacrifices that you had to do in order to really see success in this
I
venture that you were doing?
I, I think the first point is, and I'm sure you heard this from other YouTubers, is staying consistent with a plan. As in, like, I realized, and I A and B tested myself. I'm like, if I make one video a week, what does that give me? If I make 3 videos a week, what does that give me? So I found out making the 3 videos a week, 2 to 3 videos a week, constantly made me relevant to my demographic, to my audience. So I'm the last thing on their brain. So doing that and staying consistent, as in making those videos, not finding any excuses to like, I'll make it next week, whatever. Even like this, like sometimes maybe you go through this. You don't feel like making the video, but you got to put a smile on the channel. You got to put a smile on the channel, because at the end of the day, when you treat it like it's your livelihood, and this is a potential income stream, maybe not the way out for someone like me, because I don't know if I'll ever be like the million subscriber thing, whatever, but it has become an income stream for myself. So I took it as that. I took it that seriously. Like, you know what? This is just a job that I actually like. I actually like reviewing things. I actually like talking about this. I don't know where it's going to go to, but I'm just speaking my mind. And I just sticking to my consistent plan, or whatever plan you guys, anyone has. And then actually investing within yourself, understanding your analytics, understanding your audience, understanding your video quality, understanding your audio quality, under doing the legwork of getting good angles, getting great production, because production value. Because at the end of the day, people are very judgmental to a good degree. When they look at you like this, what the hell is this guy? Like, am I going to take this guy seriously? But when you invest in yourself, as into, I got to get the, the Van Gogh effect. I have, when you get to that level of thinking through, even before even speaking, like, I got to get the background right. I got to get the lighting right. I got to get this right. Now you have an actual production. Now you actually have, it's literally a small little studio in your brain, because now you're Steven Spielberg at this point, and that's how serious you have to be if you really want to make even a little money. Because, like I said, people are a bit judgmental. Like, especially if you're talking about business. If you're talking about business and you're in a closet, I don't know if anyone's going to listen to you. So unless you got the magic pill, I don't know. But but if you're talking about like something a bit more serious, especially for the demographic that you're seeking, people, aesthetics is a lot. Aesthetics plays a role into that, because you can be the most knowledgeable person in the world, but the production's not good, the audio is not good. And I think that's one thing that any content creator has to take seriously. They have to, even if you don't want to buy the Rode mics, the Shure mics, the Sennheisers, and the bigger brands, get the best what your money can purchase, and then treat it as a business. Because the only way you will ever kind of I guess in my brain do well is, can I recoup my investment on this? Because now you're going to be tracking in your brain, how much can I recoup from this investment, from this new camera, from this things like that.
I see. You touched on something important, and that was it was really, we were talking about character, and what you had said was that there are days that you just didn't want to, you couldn't, couldn't put a smile on, just didn't want to do it, but you just kept doing it anyway. And from a character standpoint, it takes that sort of character to push yourself, even if you don't want to do it, to just kind of continue moving forward.
And, go ahead.
I was going to say, and then you shifted over to the skills, and you were talking about things that you had to learn in order to get people to take your channel more seriously, and for you to really kind of treat this as a business. So here's my question to you. If you were to, knowing all the skills that you learned in your development from day one all the way to your content creation today, if you had to recommend one skill that a YouTuber needs to focus on to grow their channel, what should they be focusing on?
Building charisma. It's the people skill that you need, and it's hard because you're talking to a camera. You got to really see that's your crush. That's the most beautiful person you ever seen that you're talking to in that lens, that you want to appeal to. Like that's building up the because, like I said, I don't know if you've been through college. I went to college, never graduated, but I went to college. But like, there's a difference between having a great educator where you're fully, everything they're saying, they could be saying a lot of trash, but just the charisma, the energy, you're fully involved in the class, because that person has struck something inside of you to want to even pique your ears and be like, wow, like he's saying something of great magnitude, versus a guy just sitting there, collecting a paycheck, talking about the lesson and just going through the lesson until the bell rings or the time is up. There's a very big difference, because the guy that's talking about with all that charisma might not even know what the hell he's talking about, but the performance, the energy they place into it, it's so believable. Whether it's whether, I don't know where you sit on that. You got to be a politician, pretty much, right? You got to be a politician, pretty much, and that's what brings out the people to be like, man, this guy's energy. I like. There's people who watch me who do tell me, man, I love the energy. It's usually one of the first things they tell me. I love the energy. I love the vibes. I love this, because like everything is vibes. Like when I'm speaking to you, or maybe when people see this, more than likely they're gonna be like, man, that guy's amped up. It could be like 3 a.m. I'll act the same way, because it's something that's something that it's just deep in me. I mean, it is what it is. I'm usually a hyper person anyway when I'm talking to people. Plus, I'm from New York, so I talk with my hands all the time, which I got to stop on video anyway. but like literally, I think one skill you need to master, because you can have a crap, it's okay to in the beginning crap camera, uh, audio can just be the microphone on the camera. But if you don't have the personality, the traits of, like making your words and your energy come alive, you're gonna have a rough climb up on being a content creator, honestly.
So as you were transitioning to being more charismatic, and perhaps you were from day one, you're a pretty charismatic guy. So I would assume that might be the case. But when you were growing in your ability to be more charismatic when you're talking with a camera, what were some of the biggest challenges that you came up against, and how did you overcome them?
I naturally have a stutter, so that's one big challenge for myself. So I'm always repeating myself and things like that, but or the simple as I'm looking at the screen rather than the actual lens, right? That's like my thing. I'm looking at the screen rather than the lens. Excuse me. But the biggest thing for me was building all this energy and not losing the energy, because as you know, like boiling down a 30-minute or 10-minute video might be 3 hours worth of work. It might, especially depending on what type of material you're putting out there. So I then, because of the skill side, I eventually started breaking down videos into like stories: intro, hook, body, outro, and that was it. So I knew I can compartmentalize my charisma, my energy at these particular points, because now I got it to the science where I can make a video in 10 minutes, easy, 20 minutes, and edit it for another 30 minutes, and I'm good to go, maybe an hour. Versus editing a video, be scatterbrained, and look at it like, oh crap, what am I looking at? How am I going to chop this up? And, and then playing around with it for 3 hours. And then that eats up a lot of your time, which to some people, and maybe to many people, including myself, it is what is the word, it is unmotivating. It's not motivating to be like, really, I want to be a content creator, I gotta spend like 10 hours a week or 5 hours on just one video. So it is, after a while, it's like your motivation starts going down. Then you're going to be fighting, I really got to get on this camera now, I'm trying to do 3 videos a week now and things like that. And this is only for people who make content like myself, maybe. But if you're just vlogging, you can do that all day. That's a quick snapshot. But if you're trying to really make some content, like reviews and all that stuff, it does take a lot of work. So you got to formulate certain plans pre-game before that happens, because this energy that we have, I mean, there's times where I get dead tired. So I have to really be I guess section off certain parts of my time, because that's the only way I can do like 2 or 3 videos in one day sometimes.
Right. I want to do a quick recap here because you've covered some really great stuff.
Thank you.
The first thing that you were talking about when you first started your channel was that you had a specific thing that you knew that you were teaching to an audience, or that you knew the audience was searching for, and you kind of found that through trial and error. It was like, oh, they actually start, they like this, and so I'm going to do this. The other thing you talked about, which was character, and that was just consistency. And it's almost like, and you touched on this right at the very end, but it's almost like coming up with a plan to what you're going to do if you lose motivation, because not everybody stays motivated.
Oh yeah.
Not everybody stays disciplined. It's like, what is your plan? And if you don't have a plan, you got to keep doing it anyway.
Yeah.
Right.
If you get a video of 1 view, 10 dislikes, or when they show dislikes,
right.
don't get hurt by it. You keep it moving.
Right. The last thing you talked about was charisma, and that was the importance when you're showing up on camera and you're speaking to a lens. It's speaking with your personality and your character, and not assuming that just because of what you're saying is good, you always have to really make it come to life. I thought that was great. Yeah, that was some good stuff. So what's the future of your YouTube channel? Like, if you were to continue to see it growing or continue posting, what's the future vision of your YouTube channel?
I'm focusing now, because there's been many iterations and many testing and many A/B testing for YouTube channels, and I don't think it's gonna grow slowly because I'm a variety channel. It's not like right on one niche or anything like that, but definitely just conducting business in the Philippines, business ideas you can do in a market of I only got $1,000. What do I do? Right? Because and constantly doing reviews for like tech, a little bit of tech, anything tech that helps other entrepreneurs or regular people, but specifically towards entrepreneurs. Um, and doing health reviews because I really believe that health is your wealth. If you don't have that, you know, I've been athletic most of my life. I have gained a few pounds, as my wife will let you know all the time. So, so, but like literally, just having that, just driving a really good mindset when you're doing anything, but more business specific because like entrepreneurs, it's being an entrepreneur, as you know, it's not easy. Sometimes you're your only cheerleader sometimes. And especially like as a man who wants to be a provider in life for their family, it's not an easy life sometimes because sometimes you go home, sometimes you feel like you're just tolerated, not appreciated, right? Because you deal with issues at work and or your business, you come home, it's deal with issues at in your life. So it's just as a man, you have to eat certain things. Yeah, you have to just eat a lot of stuff. And the health part, I kind of want to dive more into the well-being of how you conduct yourself as a man, as in like yeah, I understand as a hardships. I mean, I've almost been bankrupt 2 times, so I understand the stress when you look like how am I going to scale this mountain, and then I got a book bag full of like 10 people, so in their situation. So having that push and drive, I kind of want to teach people, even younger people, especially now with younger people, depression is going to go really sky high with a lot of the young people because unfortunately they got to be, some of them don't have the grit like other generations do. Unfortunately, they're a bit too soft on certain things. So that's what I'm doing with my nephews and my nieces are kind of like my guinea pigs, right? Because they're younger and I'm showing them like this is what you got to do. Like I'm your uncle, this is what I have to do. I'm a small-time businessman. I want you to do better than me. This is what I'm doing to make sure that you have a step to step on down the road. And it's to a great degree starting to work for them. So maybe that's something I'll expose down the road, but definitely, health and wealth reviews because that's just something that strikes a chord with me because it doesn't matter. You hear it all the time. People are super successful. They end up, unfortunately, taking themselves out, or just going to a path where it's unnecessary. And a lot of times, if men do it, nobody wants to hear you till the very end. And, that's something I want to strike on down the road.
I connect with this so deeply. It just so happens I just did a post on LinkedIn yesterday or 2 days ago, and I talked about you brought this up, like being a man, being an entrepreneur in the mountain, right? I just did this post yesterday, and I've been on this journey as an entrepreneur for 2 years. And I'm realizing now how big this actual mountain is. It's like it's like the fog and not really the excitement, but just the fog of what it really takes to succeed in the entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah.
Like I now see the mountain, and I posted, I was like, if I knew this mountain was here in the beginning, I don't know that I ever would have gone down this path. But
no,
there's no going back. Once you do it, like there's no going back.
No, because that freedom that you have, that freedom of creativity, that freedom of just yourself, it's anything else. You just can't. Like you can be an entrepreneur and still feel the same way if your higher ups give you a bit of autonomy. But I mean, higher, it's your money or somebody else's money. It's still a lot of pressure. It's still a lot of pressure because at the end of the day, high level, high performing people always take their business as their own. Like that's for me, that's the truth of it. Like any business I've ever managed for somebody else, I've always looked at it as myself. So I take that stress with me. I take that home, unfortunately, sometimes. And like you're right, like when you look at like, oh crap, I just put a goal on myself. How the heck am I going to reach that goal? And then, you know, it's just I like, not to be cliche, one step at a time. But sometimes there's divots, so you have to go a little bit right to go left, and then it's it's not a clear cut journey for everybody, because sometimes you have to go to the valley that leads into the puddle of mud that leads into some old lava, and then I was like, oh no, how am I going to cross this 1,000 foot deep ocean, and I don't have a boat, and then it's backtracking to go to the forest, cut that stuff up, make a, it's a journey of trying to make it for yourself, and whether that's with a company or without a company, or I mean with your own company, it's not an easy task when you're trying to build a foundation for yourself, especially if you're trying to really make a difference, because anybody can be complacent. A lot of people got very complacent, but when you actually put goals on yourself and you hold yourself accountable, especially God forbid you tell people, watch me in the next year or so, it's just it's not an easy task to outwardly say, yeah, in a year, in 2 years, in 5 years, this is going to be me. Because now the pressure's on you. Like I'm, and then my wife and I, like we've ran businesses for about 18 years now. So, we've had our ups and downs. It's not an easy task, but over time, it gets easier because you've gone through certain, nuances, and I give everybody credit if you're trying to start a business, because, you're not alone with those pains.
Right. I'm sure you still come up to the river that you realize that you don't have a boat for, and you can't swim through. And it's like you've gone through it so many times that you just know that there's probably going to be another river. And once I hit it, I just know I need to keep going in order to figure out how I'm going to get across it.
Oh yeah, I'll tell you right now, Brian. I'll be very transparent with you. There were so many times me and wife were sitting down, just tears are coming out of our eyes. Like, how the heck are we gonna make this happen? How are we gonna make payroll? And then if you let it consume you, I understand why people take it to that level of just doing that to themselves. I fully understand why that happens, because I've had those same thoughts in my brain, because I'm like, oh wow, these people rely on me and my wife to give them a livelihood. It's just not me and my wife. And like now I'm affecting a whole family times however how many employees I have. To someone who cares about your employees, that's a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure to perform. And like I give everyone, I wish I can shake every business person hand that actually goes through that, because it's not an easy task, honestly, especially if you care about your people. And yeah, it's just I can talk about it all day, because my wife and I have been through that, and hopefully you don't have to go through those issues, and anybody can mitigate and through the life lessons of other business people. But yeah, it's a rough road, but it is very fulfilling.
You reminded me of something that Alex Hermosi had said. If you haven't heard of Alex Hermosi,
I have. Mm-hmm.
yeah, he wrote $100 million offers, and he
Mm.
he went through quite the journey as an entrepreneur. And at one point, he was given advice as he was growing, and one of the pieces of advice that he was given was do right by the people, and you won't have any scars that you live with the rest of your life.
Yeah.
Like no matter how bad business gets, do right by the people. And so there were a couple times where he had to make the choice: either he was going to make payroll, or he was going to really financially hurt him and his wife for a while. And he always chose the people. And when he
Of
goes
course.
back and thinks about it, he knows that he made the right choice. Like that was some of the best advice that he was actually given as an entrepreneur.
I can attest to that, because some of our former employees, we have to shut down businesses, we still know them, and they're always willing to help us still. They're like, whatever you need, sir. I mean, I'm good, because me and my wife had to forego certain certain luxuries to make sure those things happen before. So it's a great journey in hindsight when you look at it, and our journey is not over, but it's you're not alone. You're not alone.
Absolutely. Sometimes, like you said, it feels that way because you kind of are, a lot of the time
Oh yeah.
just by yourself
I
doing the
mean,
same thing.
the crazy thing is, like, people tell me all the time, don't you have other entrepreneurial friends? I was like, yeah, like, but they're busy running their businesses. The only time I see them is like maybe we might run into the mall and we'll have some coffee, maybe for the 10 minutes. Outside of that, we're so busy driving, our dreams. We don't have times. We don't have. It's very hard to have a social life, and so I'm like, because some people like you can hang out with your friends and you can vent to them, and I'm like, honestly, I can't because most of my friends are like me. They're all driven, so the only time we see each other, God forbid, it just might be a funeral, a birthday, or a fiesta in the Philippines. So that's pretty much the only time. But yeah,
Well, I know we took this conversation kind of a different direction.
yeah,
However, it's pretty clear that, there's a relationship between like entrepreneurship and just growing a YouTube channel.
of
I mean,
course.
like you said, you treat your YouTube channel like a business, and like any business, it's going to come up to problems. There's going to
Oh
be
yeah,
things that you're going to need to solve. And if you want to continue moving forward, you have to be resilient and have the character to just continue moving forward, even on the days you're like, I don't want to do this. Not
of
today.
course. You
Yeah,
gotta eat
not
manure
today.
sometimes. You gotta
Yeah.
eat. You have to eat some mud pie sometimes.
Yeah, you got to eat some mud pie. That's right.
You have to like, and that's one thing that I tell people that I kind of coach now. I'm like, yeah, I want to start a YouTube. I want to do this. I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give you a few assignments. It never gets done. It never gets done because they see it at the face value of the majority of people. I want to make $1 million. I want to make all the residuals you make. Okay, I'll give you the step by step how to do it, how I did it. Maybe it'll work for you, maybe it not work for you, but do it. After 1 month, I don't hear from them anymore.
Right. So they're like, well, yeah, maybe I can figure out a different way and spend the next 6 months doing something different. When if they spent the last 6 months doing what you told them to do, they would probably have a pretty decent.
I'm telling you because you should know like you probably know like you don't get any results on YouTube until like 6 months out.
Right.
It's really delayed gratification. Like I spent all this time making this video, editing it, and I only have 10 views in a week. Or 10. So I'm like, no, it's really like it really shows you going back to business. It really shows you what a real business is. Like as in like coming into work on time, all the time, consistently, doing a trade consistently over time, mastering that skill over time. And then, okay, now you understand the skill. How can I scale this? How can I grow it to the point where I can run it, have it run autonomously? And that's what everyone's gearing for, to have that residual income on the back end come to finance more of that dream. I mean, that's my dream, like, make enough income off the channel where it can finance a new camera. It can finance a trip. It can finance a new studio and things like that. So, but just like with any business, any brick and mortar business takes time.
Right. It's one of those like, no, nobody wants to hear that. Like, no, I
No,
want this done in a month. Like
no, oh, yeah.
give me that secret sauce that's going to get me this, the great following in a month,
You,
which
you
doesn't exist.
you hit it on the nail, because yeah, people do say, just give me what you do and I'll do it. I'm like, okay. And then they're like, is it that simple? Like, yeah, on paper it's simple.
Sure.
It literally on paper is simple, but can you do it?
Are you willing to do it week in, week out? Yeah.
Yeah. And I'm telling, they're like, I just don't, and I try to hold them accountable. Like, have you made a video? I just didn't feel like it. I just didn't do this. And then after that, I just don't invest any more time into it, because I'm not going to force you to do something you don't want to do. And yeah, some like going back to like getting on this camera and putting a smile on and actually doing it, because that's what we do when you have a regular 9 to 5. The majority of people don't like going to their 9 to 5s, honestly. Excuse me. But like, yeah, it's like, do I really got to clock in? Do I really got to deal with this person? The problem is you're only dealing with yourself at this point. So you can't blame nobody at this point. So, I wish everybody the best, honestly. It is a nice journey to be in, and it's an ever discovering journey how you are as a person. If you want to hold accountability, by all means. If you don't want to hold yourself accountable to it, you're going to fall by the wayside, unfortunately.
Yeah, the biggest reward I've heard, when it comes to entrepreneurs that have succeeded at the highest level is it's not necessarily like the money that's in your bank account, but it's the person you became while you're in that point in your life. Because
Wholeheartedly.
there's just so much you've got to do.
wholeheartedly. Like even at the small scale that I'm in, because I think I'm considered like a nano or whatever. But yeah, like literally from one subscriber till now, I'm not the same person as a content creator. Like I, I don't want to sound like a snob or anything. I don't like talking to people who have the dream, but I can see there's no follow through there. You know what I'm saying? I don't like I don't want to like I'm at this point like I don't really want to invest that time unless I really see that spark in that person anymore because I know it's not an easy life. I mean, but I mean, if you're into like doing pranks in a Target and stuff like that, maybe that's your thing. You'll just build it up on views or interview girls at the bars or I don't know. But that's just not me. So I knew what the challenges are as to creating a business type or vlog type channel. Like, for me, I look at Graham Stephan and his situation. I'm like, man, that guy is a whole heap of knowledge. Great channel on content as well as has out how he's treated as business and guys like that. And I'm like, wow, that's my guy. That's my icon right there. I want to kind of be on that path. I don't know if I'll ever be there, probably not, or maybe I don't, whatever. But I'm gonna try to get as close as I can, and those are the things I strive for. But I have been binging on Mr. Ballin for a while now, so Mr. Ballin studio, Mr. Ballin stories. I like that format too. I was thinking of making up a channel about stories and stuff.
Wait, whose channel? I don't know that I've heard of this.
Mr. Ballin,
Mr.
Mr. Ballin, Ballin. So quickly, he's an ex-Navy SEAL, got shot, just loves doing stories about scary stories, true crime stories. Very interesting guy, but the magnitude of how he has created his channel in sub 2 years, amazing story. I think he's at like 6 million people right now, 6 million subscribers right now. But just how he formatted the simple green screen flannel shirt, I was like, wow, man, this guy really hit it really great. I'm like, you know what? Maybe I should tell my own stories, of just stuff. And I'm like, oh man, I should be like the Filipino Mr. Ballin.
See, that's kind of I'm glad you brought up storytelling because that's kind of the focus of like the podcast, right? It's to educate through storytelling. And
yeah,
once it's through a story and going through someone's actual experiences, that kind of stuff, for some reason in the human brain, it just sticks. And you become memorable, and the lessons you learn during a certain time in your life become memorable.
Oh, for sure. Like that's just a human thing. Back to the cavemen.
Mm-hmm.
When we were just grunting stories out. So so it's just amazing his journey as growing as a content creator because for me he's just as impactful as Mr. Beast, honestly. Just as impactful. You're like, man, this guy is like on point with everything, dude. Like and the crazy thing is he has an infinite amount of content because he's just telling stories. It's not like it's not like unique in a way where he's just creating things out of the blue. These are like already set stories in the world that he's recreating, telling through his voice. I'm like, oh man, how come I didn't think about that? That was crazy. I was
like, I want to kind of give you almost a little bit more background as to specifically why I asked you to be on the channel.
Sure.
And it really has to do with something you brought up, and that was the whole like how it's been storytelling since way back, prehistoric, when we were just sitting around a fire. Mm-hmm. And I believe that there's 3 different types of entrepreneurs and 3 different types of content creators. Mm-hmm. And I want you to think of them as hunters. So there's one hunter who learns how to fight inside the forest or learns how to survive inside the forest. And they learn so much that they're standing around the fire talking about everything that they've learned. Yes. And then you've got the hunter who goes into the forest and kind of gets experience a little bit or learns something and comes back out of the forest and says, hey, guess what? Like, this is something that I just learned. And then they go back into the forest. Mm-hmm. And then there's the hunter who just stays in the forest and basically experiences everything they need to do, and they grow as an individual. And you may not hear from them for a while, but then when they come out of the forest, they're actually sharing like their experiences, and there's depth to what they had to do. So somebody like you who's grown a very successful channel that has gotten 1.5 million views, I mean, you're essentially the hunter that has been in there, that has gotten the results, and it's the results that really make you somebody that we should be listening to.
Well, I really appreciate that because I don't really see myself as like, whatever, but it's just for me, I'm like a constant white belt, like like a forever white belt. So I'm always seeing about and I think that's what keeps me, and to that analogy, that's what keeps me in the forest. It's insatiable, my wanting to learn, my wanting to refine. And I think as a hunter, that's the one that stays down in there. There, I don't know, I'm sure you're familiar with Street Fighter. Like Ryu, he's always just traveling the world trying to find the best fight.
Oh
He
yeah, man.
essentially he essentially wants somebody beat his butt. He wants somebody to challenge him to the point where, oh, you're not that good, Ryu. That's what he's searching for. Because, and as a hunter in there, in the mix and in the thick of things, for me, that's what it is. For me, literally is just consistently, I could have done better. Let me refine this process. I could have done better. Let me refine this process. But by the time you come out, like this is me coming out of the forest pretty much, then you can be like, oh, no, yes, I did do that. It's kind of like you keep your head down for so many years, grinding, working, doing whatever. By the time you raise your head, oh wow, I have a house now. Or oh wow, I have a fireplace. I didn't know that. Because when you're, and I told this to my wife and some of my friends, I'm like, when you're in the mode of trying to accomplish something, you don't really recognize your accomplishments until the very, very end of it. You're like, wow, like I didn't realize I kind of built something nice, and then I think as a hunter in there, you're literally, I don't see myself as successful. I don't see myself as, I see myself as consistently growing. I see myself as I still have one subscriber. And that's what drives me in business, in YouTube, and anything. It's like I can sit and talk to a toddler and still learn something, and be like, oh, okay, that's a nice point of view to look at it that way. That's why I can vibe with all my nieces, my nephews who are like 20 years younger than me, because it's like, oh, okay, that's how you think, and that's how you, because the way the world is impacting them is very different from when it was impacting me at that age. There's some similarities, but things are different as well, and nuances. So that's what I look at when I look at them. But in a whole, I'm always looking at myself as a constant sponge to everything. And that's what kind of keeps me fresh, I guess, and not get and this is probably important, not get too jaded with the world, on how it can, take you, spit you out, chew you up again, spit you out again. And I think that's what keeps me on my toes to that extent.
Oh man, I hear you. That was really great. Such a great, we'll call that kind of the finishing thoughts,
Oh
for the
yeah.
interview. I know I've already had you on here for a while, man, and honestly,
No, no,
I could probably chat with you for the next two
I'm
hours.
sure. You and me both. Yeah, yeah, you and me both.
So do you, for the businesses that you have, knowing the audience, influencers, YouTubers, people that want to grow, is there anything that you do for a business that you actually help, any sort of program or anything that you take people on to help them out?
Let me go. Give me 1 second. Let me take that. Oh, do you still hear me? I'm still good.
Yeah. You're still good.
Okay. As far as helping other content creators,
yeah. Do you have any like consulting, or do you have any sort of program?
I do not. I don't have it. I just, if anything, I do pro bono.
Okay.
Because at the end of the day, I'm still uncomfortable with myself as far as my skill set. Even though somebody can look at me and be like, "Wow, you know what it is. Let me know. Give me the skills. Give me the tools." I haven't gotten to the point where it's probably not a good business tactic.
Gotcha.
For me not to release that information. But I just do a pro bono if somebody really wants to do it, because at the end of the day, you make it. It's going to be on your own effort. I just coach you a little bit, because it's just, I mean, eventually I kind of want to monetize that portion of it, but ethically, I don't think I'm there yet. You know what I'm saying? Gotcha. To pitch something and be like, yeah, just do this and $49.99, you're good to go. I don't feel I'm there. But if I were to be a part of a community of people, like, this is what I'm doing right now. You want to ask me some questions, I'm more than happy to help you. Because, like, like any of these things that content creator wise, everything can be found on the internet. And if you and there's some ethical things I believe that when you're charging somebody for that knowledge, I understand if you want it really quickly, but a lot of these things, if you dig deep enough, you can pretty much find out a lot of those things. But the problem is, if you don't have the personality for it, you don't haven't trained for the personality for it, work yourself up to the personality for it, it's, for me, it's still a bad investment. Because unless you also, if you do try it out, you don't have the personality for it, are you willing to work on it? Actually look into yourself and be like, and not be offended by, because usually everybody asks their friends and their family to subscribe to the channel. So if somebody goes, yeah, okay, whatever, comment on my channel, give me a like or whatever. But, like, are you willing to eat the criticism and work on yourself? Because I don't care how many courses you purchase. If you don't want to do that for yourself, you're just probably wasting money on, unfortunately.
Right. Oh man, I hear you. So if anybody wants to follow you or ask you questions, can you remind everybody the name of your YouTube channel and then where else they may be able to find you?
It's Duma Life, and then it's short for the island I come from, Dumaguete, but it also has a double meaning. It's Do My Life, so Duma Life, and then you can catch me at Real Duma Life at gmail.com, realdumallife@gmail.com. If they want to reach out to me, I will try my best to reach out back to them, because unfortunately I do get like more than 30 or 40 emails concerning about like this things.
Sure.
So I'll try to hit them back as best as I can. But yeah, like, that's literally, I'm more than happy to help people. But just understand that if you're gonna come to me, just understand that I treat it as a business, and I'm a bit frank and blunt. So I'm like, if you don't want to take it seriously, you don't want to take it seriously, because
right.
you have to understand, I'm going to take 30 minutes out of my day to try to pinpoint you to where you need to be.
Right.
And if you don't take it seriously, I'm going to be insulted by it, because it is a craft that I've been working at for like 5-6 years now, and I take it very seriously. It's it's something that maybe some people do charge money for, and I don't. So I'm like, just
respect my time. I'm giving it to you. Just the least you can do is respect it.
Just follow through, and let's work on it. If you messed up and it didn't come out the first time, let's refine it. Constant refinement. Right. And it's just, if they're willing to go on the journey with me.
That's excellent. Love the final thought. Jilsar, we'll go ahead and we'll wrap it up from here. Thank you once again for being on Influence. You really laid down some valuable information that I think is, or I know is going to be beneficial to anybody that's looking to grow a YouTube channel. So thanks once again for being on the show.
I really appreciate your time, because it's kind of amazing that someone can look at you in a particular light, and it's like, and I try my best to be like, within my culture, it's not good to really show out like that. So it's kind of like, I really appreciate it if somebody can recognize what I've been doing for a while. And
of course, man.
At the end of the day, if I can help somebody throughout that path and journey, I'll be more than happy to, because those are the memories that I will go down. I will die with when it's time for me to go and transition into another whatever, wherever. Those are the memories, the interactions that I value, opposed to the material goods that I have in life.
I love that. And I'm sure there's going to be so much more to come from you. I mean, you're just a wealth of knowledge and value. So I look forward to keeping up with your journey and seeing how your channel continues developing.
You as well. I hope this is not our first interaction. Hopefully when I'm overseas, and if whatever you need help on my side, I'll try my best to do what I got to do.
Yeah, I like it. Well, you have a great rest of your day, Jilsar. Thanks again for being on the show.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Of course.